All right, Cardinals fans, welcome back to the Red Rain podcast. This is Red Rain episode 186. So for the 186th time, please welcome in your host, Walter Mitchell.
Thank you, Kyle Little Rock Ledbetter. and Sam the Man, the Suero High School legend, is back in the saddle to discuss another heartbreaker. Wow. Lots of things to unpack here and discuss and big picture items, I think, towards the end. But what we want to do, which we've been doing each week, is to give a quick breakdown of the top plays of the game. So Kyle's in charge of that. He's going to put up a play, and we're going to string it up the flagpole and see who salutes it. Okay, this is the opening drive for the Seahawks and a great fourth down stop for the Cardinals. Watch the right side of their line, of the Seahawks line. Watch how Akeem Davis Gaither perfectly plays the edge there. Outside shoulder on the tight end, keeping it free so he can bounce out. Perfect. And look at Buddha. Buddha, baby. Buddha on a mission.
I love the Amazon broadcast actually highlights the player of interest for you. And then all of a sudden, there's Gaither making the play alongside Buddha to set them up with excellent field positioning.
Right. What's fascinating about this play is that they shift Gaither down to the edge, where normally you might see Zaven Collins, and they move Buddha into an inside linebacker spot. Fascinating. So, and Buddha makes a great read. And look at this one more time. Holding up well. Look at the penetration that Dalvin Tomlinson gets up the middle to spoil the timing of the play. 94 over the best offensive lineman that the Seahawks have, Gray Zabel, who had a fantastic game in pass coverage, but moves Zabel out of there and creates, a situation where the running back has to try to bounce. And wow, what a great play. All right, on to the next. So the defense comes out hot. Good to see.
But then we are led to... here we go. Then we're led to this interception on the ensuing... I guess it's only 2 plays later.
Rush
Kyler Murray looking over the middle. Intercepted by Kobe Bryant of the Seahawks, who then fumbles the ball immediately after, and the Cardinals recover. What a chaotic play that was. The Seahawks are celebrating in the end zone and not realizing they've turned the ball over. Crazy play.
All right, what I want to do is, before we do this, is look at this alignment. All right. On the Cardinals' first series, on third down, they set up a wall, and Kyler, I don't know what he was doing, but runs out of the wall and makes a terrible play. No, stop. I'm talking about a previous play. Let's go back to the beginning. So you'll probably remember this, is that on the first series, we have a third and, medium. And we're in a situation like this where we line up and the ball is snapped, and then Kyler, perfectly protected behind a wall, runs right to and draws both the free Seattle defenders to pressure him, and then throws an errant pass. And now we're out of the picture on the first drive. Now this is the second drive, and we're a little ways into it, and Okay, so now we want to watch Marvin Harrison at the top of his route. Clearly, Kyler thinks this is going to be a deep sort of dig route by MHJ. Go ahead. Now he gets sort of stuck at the top of the route.
He stops his route right up the seam.
And he stops his route, as Sam accurately points out. And once again, this is Kyler throwing directly to Kobe Bryant.
Right to him.
Which is now the third time in 3 games. Which is just so, frustrating. I mean, it's 2nd and 10. I mean, want to attack the middle of the field. But
and also if you watch right here too, the play's getting broken up, but Kyler's got a lane right there he can run because Benson's going to pull.
Look at that wall right there. This was apparent all game long, and instead, there were so many missed opportunities. And notice how Kyler climbs the pocket, which you'd like, but loses visibility and just wings it. Now, there's no excuse for Marvin stopping the route because he's not open. He's not of any use where he currently is. And if the route is designed to be a deep kind of, 12-yard pass over the middle, he's really, handcuffed the Cardinals on that play. And it was set a poor tone, even though the Cardinals, good for their hustle, managed to get the ball back.
Yeah, Benson made his best play of the game, getting that fumble back.
He did. Now, this is so frustrating. It's 1st and 10. You've got the Seahawks pinned deep. Gillikin was fantastic all night. Gillikin, I want to go back. I did a 6-pack of suggestions for this game, and one was for Gilligan to try to win the punting battle, field position battle, and Gillikin did an amazing job. So here we are, 1st and 10. We're still behind, but we have a chance to pin them deep. And frickin' A, what are we doing putting Josh Sweat on a tight end in a zone coverage? It makes absolutely no sense to me to do that. We're best pass rusher from the edge. When you have a team pinned deep, and we did get a recent, safety sack, and they're passing on 1st down. The other thing is Mac Wilson gets turned around here. It's unfortunate. He gets so spun around that he can't react to where Darnold was going. Now we've lost complete contain, which hurts because that's normally what Sweat would have given you. So on every end, this play is an epic fail. And I think it was for 40 yards practically. Arroyo, their tight end, who I was worried about coming into the game because the kid is a really good receiver. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about how strange this is because normally you want to rush off the edge on this play, but you've got Browning dropping out into coverage. You've got Sweat dropping out into coverage.
Right.
So now you're only rushing 4. Now it's not even a blitz. And you've put defender. You've got him right here on one tight end, and then you've got your other edge rusher on another tight end. What a strange play concept this was.
And I have to say this, all this talk about Petzing being a genius and a future head coach candidate, it's got to stop. The guy still shows vast inexperience as a defensive coordinator.
Oh,
we'll get to that. Now, I love the kid. He's young. He's learning. He's eager. He does have some great creative ideas. But the mix and match of what you're doing to try to accomplish on plays is not in sync. You can get an exotic blitz, but then no coverage, so it's an easy bailout. which has happened so many times. It's not even worth the risk of running the blitz if you don't cover it behind. Like in this case, you're trying to cover a tight end in a zone coverage, loose zone coverage with Josh Sweat. And I saw that Sweat was pissed off on the sideline afterwards. And I don't blame him. He wasn't brought in here to do that. I mean, it's sickening that you give the Seahawks this out in their 10-yard line. Go ahead.
Change momentum of the game as well.
Oh, man, we had a chance to pin him down.
Yep.
And just let him out so easily. It's just bad football. Sorry. Next up.
All right. Next up, we've got, just very quickly, the side angle of the Marvin Harrison Jr. drop leading to an interception down near the end of the first half.
This was one of the raps on Marv coming out of Ohio State, the question marks. Is he, eager and willing enough to go over the middle? And at times this year, he's looked the part. But this time, he takes his eye off the ball, obviously, because he sees a trio of Seahawks. And, once you take your eye off the ball, even if you're Marvin Harrison Jr., which he's done now 2 weeks in a row, this was costly.
Bounced right off his hands and cost us at least a field goal.
Yeah.
We had a good drive going there.
Yeah. As the old saying goes, hit him in a bad place.
Yeah.
The hands.
Yeah.
I mean, give Kyler credit for a dime.
Yes.
In a situation there, that could have been a good gain. Could have kept the drive going. But you got to catch it first. I don't care if you protect yourself afterwards. In fact, sometimes it's advisable to do that. I mean, you're vulnerable there, running over the middle. You see a couple guys are converging on you. But catch it and lower your shoulder, or catch it and protect yourself, but catch it. And come down with it. Next up.
All right. Next up, we're going to go to Kenneth Walker, first quarter. This is 2nd and 1, 44-yard line.
2nd and 1.
Handoff. Gets
Keep
to
it on the
outside.
ground. Walker around the right side with a
20
burst
miles per hour,
to the 35-yard line.
Bounds.
All right. This is a classic loss of contain play by Zaven Collins.
Yeah.
Watch 25, kind of in the middle.
Fill,
2nd and 1.
Fill to that side is too late. Notice how Buddha again is playing
Keep it on the ground. Walker.
What Collins has to do is he doesn't keep his outside shoulder free. What you're taught on contain and setting an edge is you have to keep your outside shoulder free so you can bounce off this block.
And look how slow Zaven is.
Yeah, that's not a good play.
Oh. Otherwise, he had a decent night, but this was a horrible play by him.
And then the corner bites inside. At least he's trying to make a play. I can't blame him on that necessarily. But here's the other thing: the corner Burke. If you notice that Collins is getting pinned, you now are the contain, and so this is a double break at contain. Cardinals have had a contain issue for quite some time now. Collins has typically been pretty good at it, probably the best at it.
Yeah.
But and Akeem Davis Gaither showed us a clinic on the 4th down stop of how to play the edge.
He had a terrific game.
Yeah, that's one encouraging thing is our inside linebackers, although I'm kind of worried about Mac Wilson now with the ankle. But it's curious to me, too, in these short yardage situations that they're using Buddha in the box at linebacker. That's fascinating. Unfortunately, on this play, Buddha was late diagnosing it and couldn't get to Walker. And then he's off to the races.
Walker had a heck of a first half.
He is a heck of a back. He is explosive. And
both their backs did well.
And Charbonnet.
Yeah.
The combo, they come up big against us almost every time. Yep. Next up.
All right. Now we're getting into crunch time here. So we're going to go first to the first drive, 9 minutes to go, down 14 points. Your offense has already been booed off the field. And the response right here from Kyler Murray, 2nd and 7.
Yeah, that's right. Next draft,
rush 4. Takes off up the middle.
He finally takes off
has
here.
A first down.
Shows his speed down the sideline. He goes.
Line for the
and he's finally out of.
Okay, this was in my 6-pack, and I've been in my pregame 6-pack has been for 3 years begging Kyler to escape up the middle. That's what every team that opposes him fears, and that's something that he has been reluctant to do, almost to the point of not even thinking about it. And look at what that did to set up, finally, a touchdown drive. See, it's right there. Go. Anytime you see that, go. It's the best option. And what did he
great
turn
play
on
by
great run. Fantastic.
Great play by Paris Johnson Jr. here on the outside, too. Just give him a little push, and now he's fallen behind on the play. Really good job there.
He did. Protection was great on that play. All right, now we're getting into Cardinals territory, so, next up.
Next up, let's keep the drive going. Down inside the red zone, 2nd and goal.
Harrison's
got Kyler. Marvin Harrison going over the top on an all-pro cornerback for the touchdown.
Sam the man, what do you see on this?
Terrific pass, caught at the high point against a terrific cornerback. This is the Marvin Harrison that we've all been wanting to see.
Right. And what's so symbolic about this play in a number of ways, but first and foremost is, remember last week how he didn't high point the ball on a fade and sort of let the play, and squander that opportunity. This week, amidst a really rough game, he delivers.
Especially after a terrible second half.
Correct.
I liked how Kyler kept going to him.
Right.
And I like you got to hand it to Harrison. He showed a lot of resilience there because his confidence is very shaky.
Right.
Terrible, embarrassing first half and an embarrassing game last week.
Right.
This was a good way for him and an optimistic way for him to finish the game. For the entire offense, frankly.
Yeah, the offense in the first half was a third and give up deluxe. Been calling that with Kyler for 4 years now out of his 7. Quits on plays like no quarterback I have ever seen. And then everyone wants to blame everyone else for it. It's on Kyler. He's in a self-preservation mode more than wanting to fight like a dog every play, more than beast mode, which is what quarterbacks need. Did you see Darnold get into a beast mode last night? I saw it several times. With Kyler, it's touch and go, and oftentimes these first halves are a disturbing pattern. It's just check down city, 3 and out, just get off the field, don't throw it down, and don't make any, it takes being behind and being in the second half to suddenly throw downfield. And look what happens when you throw downfield. 2 weeks in a row, we get the big, huge flag on pass interference. It was on Zay Jones last week to get us in the near the goal line. Then this week it was with Xavier Weaver taking Zay Jones' place, and we get the big flag on Reek Woolen, and that brings us down into scoring area. So, look what happens when you try to make passes down the field, and why it takes 3 quarters and being behind to do that is very disturbing and annoying. And if you're going to blame the offensive coordinator on that, I think you're just bailing out. That's a cop-out. I positively, I can say this 100%. The offense is not designed to just be dink and dunk, check down city, throw the ball away, lay down. It's just not. And, because you can see when you look at it from different angles, what they were trying to do and what Kyler's not letting them do. So that's it. But now, at least in the second half, now when the backs are against the wall, now we're pushing the issue. You have to play with that kind of urgency for 60 minutes, again, particularly against a good team. You can't just turn it on and off. You can't be off for over a half of football like the Cardinals have been the last 2 weeks against divisional rivals. They had 3 points in both halves.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you want to point out where we lost the game the last 2 weeks, point back to the first half. Because in the end, if you play that better, maybe you're not in these more difficult situations in the second half. What's up next?
All right, next up, so it's 20-13 now. Real quick, we've got this Sam Darnold to Jackson Smith-Njigba deep route where he beats Max Melton deep on this throw. Fortunately, didn't end up scoring on the play thanks to the
missed field goal.
Exactly.
All right, the only thing I can critique on Max Melton, who I think plays this pretty dang well, and for the second week in a row, we get beat on an absolute perfect dime on a fade pass up the sideline. Pearsall last week, the repetitiveness, and what my fear is that these are the reasons why Gannon and Rallis are so conservative on defense, like giving up an explosive play like this. But let me tell you this. This is a fade pass up the sideline that no safety's going to get to. So, this is going to happen regardless. I mean, you'd have to put a safety over into that third and be doubling this to defend it. And you got to give Sam Darnold tremendous credit for dropping it in there on a dime. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he had a tough first half. 0. All right, but he showed up huge in the second half, obviously. And that's what guys have to do. And Marv showed up huge in the fourth quarter. So kudos to both of them for getting something going later on. But Max is playing stride for stride on this play. He's either got to do 2 things. He's got to, when Jackson Smith-Njigba looks back, he's got to either look back himself quickly,
yes,
or he's got to go up and get in Smith-Njigba's eyes, gets his hands up, so to distract the catch, and maybe even get a hand in there. So you're trained to do that. You're looking right in his eyes, so you get your hands right up where you block his vision, or you get your hands in a position to be able to jar the ball out. That's where, if when Max learns to finish covers like that, he's going to be really good. He's got the feet, he's got the quickness, he's got the stickiness, and I'm not discouraged about him at all. I think once he gets comfortable enough to make those kind of plays on the fly, which you're taught to do, I think he's going to be a dandy. So, but kudos to, that took a perfectly executed pass play, which is a bang, bang. I mean, you're not going to be able to sack Darnold on a play like that because he catches the ball, takes a 3-step drop, and boom, throws it. And man, he dropped it in the bucket, didn't he? 2 weeks in a row. Dang. Oh, the patterns. Now, this is, oh gosh, what a superbly designed play. It's like peekaboo, shield your running back and have him run through the opposite side. And you're clearing out with the top receivers. So you're opening the door to the pylon. Top receivers are going to come over the middle. Great. You know, you want to criticize Petzing? This is an all-pro call. That is brilliant. And look at Imari break that little tackle. Oh, it was going crazy. So happy.
Well, Imari needed this after the drop last week.
Exactly. Now,
I
guys,
also thought it was interesting that we saw Damari at the end of the game, and not Benson.
And Carter on that ill-advised 3rd and short, handoff where the Seahawks knew the play was coming.
Oh, yeah.
They called it out.
Well,
I mean, that's where you got to criticize both Kyler and Petzing. I don't know if it looked like Kyler audibled into that call.
He might have.
Because they knew the audible call. Hey. That was a tough, and Gannon was so pissed he just said punt it. It was near midfield too, I think. It was like, and 3rd and 2. It wasn't 3rd and 1, it was 3rd and 2. Anyway.
That play met with a lot of boos from what I thought was a terrific fan base showing last night.
Yes.
The fans were in that game from start to finish.
They were. And the fans are expecting more, and that's really exciting because now might be a good time to talk about this for a second, to take one break until we get back to the game-ending agonizing 28 seconds. That's all we had to enjoy, feeling back in the game. It's just, but let's talk about this for a second. Is that I think the Cardinals coaches set themselves up for what happened in this first half during the week. When asked about the failures of the offense, they deferred. And so there's no failures. And, Gannon was, went to the extent of saying Drew Petzing called his best game of the season against the 49ers, which a lot of fans were pissed at. And I think rightfully so, because here's the thing is that when your quarterback's struggling, you got to have coordinators who know how to turn it around, right? And you have to have coordinators who develop quarterbacks and can make in-game adjustments and that. So, but what happened there is some real credibility was lost, because here's the thing. Then Petzing gets on the mic and he doubles down on, no, Kyler is great. Kyler's fine. And we all know that's not true either. So a lot of BS coming out. Now, in other markets, it doesn't happen like that. The coaches are, speak truth. Cliff used to speak it. BA would bluntly speak it. So you're not BSing the fans, but most of all, you're not BSing your own players and enabling and coddling them. So it would have been a better move, in my opinion, for Gannon, and this is where the inexperience comes in, and the lack of understanding of a psychology. If you're coddling players, how's that going to help you? Now, there are, euphemistic ways of saying we've got to get better. Euphemistic meaning, kinder, gentler. You have to say, yeah, we sucked, or we really. You can say, here are the areas we need to improve, and we're going to work hard at it. Instead, we just got nothing's wrong. Great play calling all game, and then the offensive coordinator says, no, the quarterback's fine. When we all saw it was a constant struggle, and 3 points in the first half against Niners, 3 points. So I think they kind of set, this is sort of a poor psychology going into the game. It would have been far better to, show where the bar is rather than just say, no, everything was cool. It was just, just didn't, we don't have to change a thing, is what Gannon said. But post game this week, suddenly feeling a little more heat and seeing that strategy backfired on him, Gannon is now talking a different story. But it's too bad it's a game late, and now you're coming off another NFC West agonizing loss. So that might have been averted with a little more, sort of tough love and tough critique and setting of a different kind of tone heading into the game. All right. So your thoughts on that, Sam?
Well, he definitely coddles his players.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. And no criticism of a poor performance by his offensive line that is regressing, that has hampered and limited a running game in a running first offense.
Yep.
He's not going to throw a coach under the bus.
No.
Because if he throws a position coach under the bus, he's under the bus with him. Again, we've said it for 2 seasons now. You have a team that's struggling, and it's struggling culturally, emotionally, play calling, etc. You need experienced coaches to help figure out fixes.
Correct.
And how to deal with your players.
Correct.
You have to have an outsider, if that's what you want to call him, with more experience, to maybe tell you, back in the day when we had a team that couldn't finish,
Right.
that lost 4 games in a row at the final seconds, we did this, and this to help our young team grow and learn how to play better in game-winning or game-losing moments. We don't have any of that. We got coaches learning on the job.
That's right. And, it's a point well taken because, you look at what the ESPN crew last night masterfully did is juxtaposing Mike Macdonald's early impact on the Seahawks with Jonathan Gannon's, and how Macdonald, as a defensive coach, said, no, I want to call the plays. I want to take charge of this. And went to the extent of immediately identifying what players fit into his system and what players did not. And, like the 2 linebackers they signed in free agency weren't working out to hit. They weren't playing bad. They just weren't working out to Macdonald's bar of expectations. So they got rid of, traded both of them and wound up with Ernest Jones. What the frick? I mean, look at the impact Jones had on that game, and look at the impact he's had on the games that he's been with the Seahawks. He's had 2 interceptions in the last 2 games, both in State Farm Stadium. But McDonald's approach is the one that I was hoping we would get from whoever came in here, because he has a specific plan. And look at what he did offensively. He was not satisfied with Ryan Grubb, even though they were one of the best passing teams in the NFL last year. He just didn't feel like the system was tailor-made for the running game the way he wanted, and for the all-around play of the offense. So he brings in Kubiak. And then, as they explained neatly last night, Kubiak was going to coach Geno Smith and do his thing with Geno Smith until Geno Smith made it clear that he wanted a better contract or wanted to be able to, move on to join Pete Carroll. And they were fine with that because Kubiak had worked with Sam Darnold. Where was it? In San Francisco.
Yes.
And, it was a perfect marriage. And they got him at a bargain price. I mean, the guy was an MVP candidate last year. He's clearly come into his own as an NFL quarterback. He had the stinker of the game against the Rams in the playoffs, but that happens to. We saw it happen to Carson Palmer in the NFC Championship game. I mean, that doesn't mean he's a shitty quarterback. It means he plays at a high level. He had a bad game.
They also wanted him back.
Yeah, and he also had, Jared Verse in his face the whole game, and those Rams were on fire that day. But McDonald is the real deal, in my opinion. I think he sets high standards. He, he's on his players. He's a kind of crafty leader. He's not a suck up, coddle you kind of coach. I think he lays it out plain and clear. So
they got him from the Ravens, and look at the Ravens defense has struggled since he's left. But look at the experience that Clint Kubiak has. Compare that to the complete lack of experience that Drew Petzing has.
Exactly. And then look at their assistant coaches.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you're talking Leslie Frazier.
Yep.
With a defensive coordinator who's perfectly confident in himself and his own plan. You bring in Leslie Frazier.
That's right.
I mean, what a stroke of genius that was. Because it's so, people don't realize this, but when you have veteran assistants too, their role in game planning with their experience is critical. I mean, their extra set of eyes and the way that they prepare, and then the way they've been successful in the past. But, on the offensive side of the ball, for wanting to have a better offensive line than they've had, which has been their weakness, wouldn't you know, they bring in John Benton, offensive line coach. He's a dandy. How many years NFL experience? Tried 22.
Yeah.
So John Benton goes to the Seahawks with his 22 years of experience.
And Fry has
we dip into the college. We give up the best coach on our staff.
Yep. Don't
make any overtures to keep him.
Correct.
And don't give me that bullshit they couldn't, because they always freaking can. They could have given him a promotion. They could have made him an assistant head coach. They could have paid him, twice his current salary. They could have done so many things with Clayton Adams. And to hear Drew Petzing this week go, no, we don't really miss Clayton Adams. It's the biggest crock of shit ever. All right. That's just stupid, because we can all see it. So if you just say no, what kind of credibility do you have? And how can you even have credibility with your own players when you talk bullshit like that? So
that's right.
I mean, they are going about this the way that pro teams who want to win go about things. They're not hiring novices out of college to run such critical position, as position coaches. 22 years versus 0. It's mind-boggling. So frustrated on that. But that's why I think that, until the coaches set higher bars and start being real with people and addressing things in real time as real issues and problems, and stop, like what did Gannon want to be as a head coach? They said it last night. He didn't want anything to do with calling defense. And he said so from the get-go. And then Al Michaels said, so the Cardinals hired him on the spot. And then he mentioned coming off of like 38-point burger in the second half of the Super Bowl, which everyone says, oh, well, it was Mahomes. So, except you had the supposedly number one defense in the NFL. And you had a complete meltdown. You didn't stop them once in the second half, which we've seen from Gannon's defense is here. Now, Rollis is he is. I wrote an article this week about the Cardinals getting their hands on the football. Aurora, Borealis, Borealis, I was called. I mean, they were doing it great. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, not so great. We're not getting hands on, not sticky enough. We're not getting hands on football enough. Look at the way that the Seahawks did, better than we did. And that's what, often wins these games. So it just makes you wonder, so what did Gannon want? And I watch him on the sidelines, alone in his own little, sort of cone of silence. And I'm just thinking to myself, what impact is he making on this game? Other than what looks to be absolutely zero. He doesn't have the defensive prowess to be able to stop bleedings or to be able to make in-game adjustments. He's a cheerleader for Kyler Murray. That's not working.
No.
All right, if you think that's working, go back and watch the first half. Kyler Murray, here's the problem for Kyler Murray, is none of these coaches have the gravitas that could make him ever want to change. I mean, they're going to accept him. It's unconditional love. It's just, like Kyler's doing his best. You got to understand. When, unfortunately, you got a quarterback here now who, gives up on so many plays and leaves so many plays out there that, it's uncompetitive. That whole first half was totally uncompetitive and an embarrassment, and the fans should have been booing. I mean, what do you do with that? And can any of these coaches coach Kyler the way they're doing? Can Gannon? Does Gannon have the secret quarterback whisperings that, some other coaches have? Sam?
Well, when Gannon was hired, and I've said this on the blog many times, when Gannon was hired, he said his number one goal, his number one mission was to improve the play of his underperforming quarterback. And so what does he do? He brings in a guy who coached quarterbacks for 6 months in his entire career.
Right.
Never ran an offense, never called plays for an offense.
Right.
Never worked with an offensive line. He's a guy whose scheme and football career was on paper.
The scheme, too. The scheme fit, Sam. I mean, you have Kyler Murray, and you're selling this. It's a good thing we're going heavy run for Kyler's sake. No. I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks. In that system, they struggle mightily. I mean, that system is not quarterback friendly. And in fact, in a number of ways, it's quarterback deterrent from getting in rhythms. And I mean, I don't know. It just, for Kyler, that never made, the match of that never made sense. It never made sense to me either that we hired a defensive-minded head coach, particularly one without any experience.
Correct.
When someone like, I could see it if you got an experienced guy like a Fangio, like
the guy at the Vikings, whose name I've forgotten.
Yeah.
He wouldn't interview
Flores.
Flores. He wouldn't even interview with the Cardinals. Cardinals are not going to get top-notch coaching talent. They're not going to get people who care about having a career or a positive legacy in their coaching legacy.
Right.
Nobody with a future, coach with a future, is going to come work for a Bidwell.
Yeah. And the coup would have been Dan Quinn, who they brought in for a second interview. I mean, But I think Dan Quinn, was probably posturing for that Broncos job. But also, I think that there were some quid pro quos, which is classic of Bidwell. Like, if we give you the job, you have to turn around Kyler right away. And I think that was the command to Gannon. So you're asking Jonathan Gannon to turn around Kyler Murray. Other than, hey, bro, great to be with you. What the frick does he do to help Kyler Murray? He's not a quarterback guy. So and that's why. And here's the profound irony to me: the best coach that for quarterbacks that's been hired here since BA is Cliff.
Yeah,
that was a genius call. If only you just gave him the power to be a real head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, instead, you handcuffed him left and right. You had coaches digging for his job. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is one of the greatest offensive minds on planet Earth. And he's passed the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour rule like 40 times. The guy's called more plays, is diagrammed and written up innovative plays more than virtually, I think 99.9% of people, of coaches on the planet. And, he's everywhere he's gone, he's turned quarterbacks into gold mines. I mean, his track record with quarterbacks is astonishing. Look at what he did with Marcus Mariota last week.
And then you hire his replacement, who has absolutely no experience with quarterbacks.
Zero. It makes no sense.
Well, it makes Bidwell sense.
Yeah. What's up?
And you got to ask about Monty. You got to question Monty. Here you had two terrific position coordinators coming out of Philly that year. You had Gannon, you had Shane Steichen. Both went to franchises with problematic owners. Think if we would have picked up Shane Steichen instead of Gannon.
Right.
You think Kyler would be playing better like Daniel Jones? Yes. Do you think Kyler had a chance to improve like Steichen improved Jalen Hurts? Yes. Who did we bring in? Some guy with zero quarterback coaching experience ever.
Right.
So who's our biggest problem on offense? It might be our quarterback, might be our offensive line,
right?
Might be a lack of running game. So who's responsible for all three of those things?
Monty.
Your offensive coordinator.
Well, the OC, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Monty. What I can't believe is how anti-New England Patriots he is.
Oh, he's the opposite.
It's like he hasn't learned a fucking thing.
True.
I mean, there's so many instances. Would Robert Kraft ever hire a coaching staff with zero experience like this? I mean, it would be laughed out of New England. I mean, Robert Kraft had Cliff Kingsbury and knew he was a, budding star coach. Robert Kraft would have had a good use at some point for Cliff Kingsbury. But in this staff, it's just mind-boggling. Then all the different things that Gannon does that are so anti-patriot, like calling off days of practice. The Patriots never, their motto was,
no days off.
No days off. And that's why he gets A's, by the way, by the players, because one of the criteria is makes best use of our time. Yeah. Hey, man, well, listen, we work so hard. Why don't you take the next couple days off? A freebie as a reward. And then you see, the next game we play, they can't cover anyone. And you just wonder, Well, where did that opportunity go for trying to build a team that can cover people? And here's the other thing, too, is we have a defensive-minded head coach who hasn't ingrained a tackling or cover culture on defense. And you also hire a coach. I mean, here's how I put it in a nutshell, is that I've been saying this for a while now, is that if you have the most inexperienced coaching staff in the league, and they're the most conservative, I mean, they play so scared to throw the ball downfield, scared to defend any pass that, could go over their heads. I mean, in essence, what they want to do is play the game in a 20 by 67 grid. Like everything's going to be small ball within within that kind of a rectangle. Because, if you play the high safeties, no one's going to throw over the top. So you got that covered, but now you can't, you're going to give up easy passes to do it. You're also going to give up some runs, but hopefully there won't be more than a 20-yard run in there, which the Seahawks got from Kenneth Walker yesterday. But it's like the most passive-aggressive approach to football. I mean, Kyle, pull up the shot of the last shot of the Seahawks play where the Cardinals inexplicably are in a prevent defense. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about when Jackson Smith and Jigba catches it? Are you talking about on the last drive of the game?
It's towards the end of the list I gave you, where it might be even the last one, where on the last play for the Seahawks on their 40-yard line. Wait till you see the defensive alignment for that play, which is a huge play. We've got to try to get a tackle for loss. Pin Myers deeper than where they are, or get a sack. Look at this. It's 18 seconds left. Look at that. Are you kidding me? There isn't even a defensive tackle. What the frick? That is a disgrace. And you're talking about hailing this guy as a future head coach? I'm sorry. That's bullshit. That's not winning football. That's a give up. It's like the offense, third and give up. This is a first and give up. And what did they get? Of course they got an easy run, because there's no defensive frickin' tackles. When they should be all lined up like it's a goal line situation and coming after the football. I'm sorry, but this is just unacceptable. I mean, look at that. I mean, if you're the Seahawks, you're looking at that and licking your frickin' chops. What a giveaway. And what a giveaway at the end of the game. I mean, your only experienced coach somehow managed not to communicate to the kickoffer that, hey, whatever you do, kick it beyond the 20-yard line. That's the worst thing that could happen to us.
Yep.
Other than them returning it all the way or returning it into field goal position. I mean, how do you miss that?
That's just terrible.
Situational instruction.
Yeah.
How do you not, emphasize that whatever you do, Chad? And the weak sauce that Chad put on that kick was like, are you kidding? In this situation? I mean, Kyle, read this up.
All right, this is from Warren Sharp. The whole game, Arizona kicked to pin Seattle, and the kicker did it perfectly. Kick to the Seattle 4, kick to the Seattle 5, kick to the Seattle 1, kick to Seattle's goal line. Average starting field positioning was the 28-yard line, which it feels like every kickoff in the new rules goes to the 28-yard line. Then they ask him to do something different, and he blows it. Kicks to the Seattle 21, placed at the 40, game over.
Speechless. Absolutely speechless. I don't know about you, but felt bad for my pal Trish. She had to cover her ears. I was screaming. I was going absolutely like you. I just kept screaming, no fucking way. I mean, it's just unbelievable that would happen. And it just shows to me, this is the inexperience, even from an experienced coach, that they, at the end of these games, they're not ready situationally to play these games. I mean, who's the one receiver? Why can't we key on a receiver that's killing us? Like Jefferson in Minnesota. What was the receiver who was killing us in the second half? Jackson Smith-Njigba. And why do we leave him on an island then? In those critical situations where they're passing. Why don't you commit a bracket so that Darnold would have to go somewhere else. In the meantime, when he checks over there and he turns, maybe you get a pass rush in his face. Maybe you get a turnover even. But how do you leave Jackson Smith-Njigba on an island with Max Milton with the game on the line?
Yeah, knowing that your two best corners are out too.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing is I thought that night if Will Johnson was playing him there, he would have played it totally differently. He wouldn't have been in trail technique. He would have have a 3-yard cushion ahead of him, all the while looking for the football. That's something that Johnson does as well as anybody. And he'd be in that side, sort of, side angle, keeping Smith-Njigba in front of him, but being ready to jump the football when it comes out because he can see it.
Pretty impressive.
Perfect back shoulder throw, but it shouldn't have been able to happen if you double team him.
Yeah,
that's an in-game strategy.
I think Witherspoon said at the end of the game he was surprised they were in man coverage on that play.
Well, no, I love the man cut. We should be in man, but with a receiver who's who's beating us in the second half, and Darnold's hot with him, you got to double him.
Right.
I don't see double teams like that when late in the game. You got to double. But let me just rephrase that. I'm glad it wasn't weak sauce zone like we saw against
previous games. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad at least we had someone in the vicinity. And it took a perfect pass, back shoulder, surprise tactic. I mean, Max never saw it coming. And Jackson Smith-Njigba knew he was going to stop his route and come back to the football. He could see it. Max couldn't. But that's a back-breaking play Here's another angle, right, Sam, is that with these zones, you can also do combo man zones against the best players. So that you could play man-to-man on, Jackson Smith-Njigba, but have a 3-man under to protect from underneath. And if you have that on a zone, that throw's probably never made if you're defending it properly, and not with Josh Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, but these game end situations they're obviously not prepared for mentally, and it's backfiring, unfortunately. And this is, like you said, Sam, perfectly. When you have a senior assistant who whispers in your ear, "Hey, Smith-Njigba, we had to do something about him. We just can't let him one-on-one. Let's double him up. Let's send one of the linebackers after him under and have Max on him over." and let's make Darnold go somewhere else with the football, and let's get our four-man rush going heavy after him, something like that, But inexperience showing up, in terms of the key situations late that win you games. And let's not forget those late game situations the Cardinals got bailed out of in the first two games.
Yep.
Against better teams, probably would not have worked out. So, and even Gannon vowed before the 49ers game to get away from the soft, prevent type defense. Only he ran it back against the 49ers, where Mac Jones didn't have to throw to anyone but wide open receivers. It's so frustrating.
Well, with 28 seconds left, we saw the failure of the defensive coaches and the special teams coach.
Correct.
28 seconds left. We did everything we could to give them this football game.
Correct. Just as we did the week before.
Correct.
It's like we scored, but hey, let's open the door, an easy door for you guys. And we can be happy just that we came back and tied the game.
Well, what other positive could we possibly take from this? Instead of folding their tent completely in the fourth quarter like they've been doing,
right?
They came back, showed some resilience, and tied up the game. And then did everything they could to give it away with 28 seconds left.
Calais Campbell killed it again. That's a positive.
Yes.
He is so special.
Yeah.
I mean, he said after the game he was so gassed, and then he went out on the field and played with his kids. The guy is so special. I mean, it's just, and then you see him like getting in Josh Sweat's face after Sweat made that just, Sweat quits on plays. Marv quits on plays. Kyler.
That was interesting that Kirk Herbstreit said you could see him quit on a play.
Yeah. I mean, it's on tape. You can see it. We saw it week one with Sweat on a touchdown where he could have chased. He just stopped and gave up on the play.
How about our guy Darius Robinson here? Breakout game for him. Sack, a couple tackles for loss.
Yeah,
very good in spot.
And now he's injured. He probably has a torn pec, maybe, and who knows when he'll be back on the field.
Darius?
Yeah,
was injured.
Yep. Went out of the game.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh, frick.
Chest injury.
Oh no. Birch was injured too.
Yeah, he came back in the game though.
He did. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness.
How about Catrell Clark and Keaton Crawford?
Tremendous.
How about Anthony Goodlow? I wrote about them in my post-game comment. Kyle, can you read that? It's on the sheet. What did I say post-game? Credit
the Cardinals defense and unsung ballers like Keatrell Clark, Anthony Goodlow, and Keaton Crawford for keeping the game within reach, and to the offense for moving off of the third and give up script for 3 quarters. But alas, 2 very shaky misplayed finishes versus NFC West rivals 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. That was about as kind and gentle as I can put it. Because I really didn't want to, I really did want to give them credit for the comeback. And then, what was my other tweet? I tweeted out, Jeff Rogers. How in the world he didn't make it clear to Chad Ryland.
Yeah, Jeff Rogers is the most experienced coach on the staff. One would think that he would have said to Chad Ryland, whatever you do, make sure you kick it beyond the 20. Yet, based on the weak sauce Chad put on the kick, Apparently message wasn't given. Chad should know the rule, but it's a coach's job in the key moment to make sure.
Yep. It is. It comes back on coaching. And Warren Sapp has to point it out to us as perfectly as he did. Thank you for doing that.
Or Warren Sharp, yeah.
And the irony is our kicking game all night was fantastic.
Yep.
We were out kicking the best kicking tandem perhaps in the NFC. I mean, Morshed and
Murphy.
Dixon. Michael Dixon is amazing, one of the best punters, top 3 punters in the league. And Myers is usually a gimme wherever he is kicking.
Yep.
And we got a miss out of him, which was huge.
Well, it's 57 yards too.
Right. And how about, can we show Michael Wilson's catch? That was, I mean, it's not a game at the end if he doesn't make it. I love this kid, Wilson. I think he's the most underused, undervalued player on the team. I think he's got a lot of game and a lot of grit. And the dude can play. He can ball. I mean, this play was amazing. And good for Kyler to get it to him in that situation. It's just too bad that these plays like this don't happen sooner. Look at that, one-handed. Look at his fight. Oh. Wow. Talk about clutch.
Just threw his hand up there.
Yep.
Hauled it in.
And gathered it in and had the presence of mind to lower his shoulder and get out of bounds. I love that kid.
You think Michael Wilson is special?
I really do. I really do. I think he's got, the only rap I have against him is injury prone.
Yeah.
But looks fine now because he's twitchy out of his breaks, unlike some others we have. So and I watched very intently. Here's 2 things from training camp that I picked up. I was watching very intently who was getting separation in the one-on-one drills the most. It was hands down Wilson. I mean, he was blowing by people. And he was faking people out, leaving them in the dust. Marv is kind of getting there. He's trying to add a twitchy element to his game. And he's a work in progress. But Wilson came made to order. He put on a show at the Senior Bowl and had all those Reese's Pieces executives gushing about the way this kid gets open. So, but, he doesn't. And last week, Kyler threw to him on a key 3rd down on fourth down, and he converted. Maybe this is his role now, convert on key clutch 4th downs or 3rd downs, because we need someone in that role. I mean, he's made to order for it, in my opinion. And,
So I asked you, so Michael Wilson special, we can probably both agree. Trey McBride is pretty special, right?
Awesome. So
who else is special on that offense? Who's your big
Froholt?
Okay, there you go.
He is a game changer.
Yep. But out of your playmakers, who's special in your playmakers? Now Dortch is the best as far as yards after the catch. He's the best on the team.
Wasn't he great last night?
Terrific.
I mean, you're saying to yourself, where has this been? Why aren't we doing it more?
But who's special on offense? So you got McBride, you got Froholt, you got Wilson. Who you got? Who else? Who's your special playmaker? Who's your special running back? Who's special in the running back room?
Well,
we've got a good running back room, but who's special?
In his own way, Amari DiMercato is a big play waiting to happen. For some reason this year, there's something a little off about him. At least there was until last night. And I don't know quite
he's a much better blocker. He's there at the end of the game because he's a much better blocker than Benson.
Correct.
Benson's a terrible blocker.
Right. And that's when you have that out of a running back, that's special. It shouldn't be
especially with an
underestimated.
offensive line that can't block.
Yep. But DeMercado is a gamer, and he's capable of, as we've seen, of running, breakaway plays out of the backfield or on draws. I really like him a lot. You know who I really think is unsung too, I've used way more, is Elijah Higgins. Love that kid. Big bodied, and the way he was catching and racking and lowering the shoulder and pounding on people the way that you were feeding him a couple games ago against Carolina. He had a great game, and now, he's invisible.
Yeah.
So, and I don't understand that either. But, I think he could play the slot. He could play flex. He could play the Y position really well on offense. It's just too bad. I mean, it comes down to this, is that, with this coaching staff, I don't think there's a quarterback developer on the entire staff. But at the same time, unless you get someone like a pedigree coach to come in here, other new novices aren't going to coach Kyler Murray. So you either have to roll the dice and get somebody with the gravitas who can turn them around, or you have to, what I'm curious about is, what does Petzing's offense look like with another quarterback? I bet we would get the same, and I texted this out this week, was that it took Colt McCoy to show us once again what Cliff's offense was supposed to look like. I think we'd probably get a better sense of what Petzing's offense is supposed to look like if Jacoby Brissett was playing. Now, I'm not suggesting that Jacoby Brissett is better than Kyler Murray. So I'm not making that leap, just as I never said Colt McCoy is better than Kyler Murray. I did say that Clayton Tune was better at certain things in this offense than Kyler Murray, and I still stand by it. Passing over the middle, which he did so well at Houston with Tank Dell and Michael Golden, and then feeding slots. Kyler, name me a slot receiver, a true slot. Christian Kirk wasn't a true slot here. He refused to go over the middle. So, a true slot. Kyler's been here 7 years. Have we had a true slot receiver under Kyler's watch who's up there? And who are all the league leaders these days in top of the list in yards and racks? It's slot receivers. Amon St. Brown. You got CeeDee Lamb. Now they have Jamar Chase playing in the slot because they know Justin Jefferson plays in the slot. All your big-time receivers are winning out of the slot because the key in football today is winning in the middle of the football
mismatches.
Did you see the stat?
Go ahead.
Did you see the stat about who the 3 leading receivers were in the NFL going into Week 4? It was Puka Nacua, Rams, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Seahawks, Ricky Pearsall, 49ers.
Slot. And they're all 3 NFC West teams. And our quarterback can't feed a slot to save himself. He never has. Now, he fed Dortch a few times last night with success. Please continue that. And maybe that helps turn the corner here because you've got to win the middle. I always equate it to the old Pac-Man game. Escaping the ghosts. What you learn is don't go into the corners. Stay near the middle so you can escape through the middle.
So let's agree. Let's see what happens in the Titans game, and let's see the usage of Greg Dortch. I'll bet you $1 that we don't see it.
That's a crazy
thing. Right now, we don't see it.
Right. That's the crazy thing from week to week.
And I hope I lose $1.
Well, and all right, I got you there. Let me ask you this question. Who's the more dynamic receiver at this point? in their careers? Zay Jones or Greg Dortch?
Oh, Dortch by far. Zay Jones signing, and especially for the money, was a total head scratcher. Again, that's why I asked, who's special on offense? Certainly isn't Zay Jones.
No. He was at one time in his career, but he's slowed down. I mean, he's just not the player he used to be. And now he's our latest version of A.J. Green. Although he was never the status of A.J. Green, but guys who are on the back end of their careers were now like wide receiver threes and not getting the ball much or not making, the kind of contribution you'd expect from the kind of money you're paying them too. They're paying for the name. And then the whole business of, he gives a veteran presence to Marvin Harrison Jr.
Give me a break.
Come on.
Well, it was good to see Weaver get a couple shots downfield.
It was. That speed element is big. I mean, you got some playmakers here. Do you see anyone else special on the offense?
I do not. That's why I asked you the question.
Yeah.
I think we have way too few special players. In fact, you could say who is absolutely not special, and we could give you a much longer list of names, starting with the right side of that offensive line.
Yeah, that one's, that's an unfortunate.
That offensive line last night was horrific.
Yeah.
In terms of penalties, in terms of pass blocking, run blocking, we couldn't run the ball. Kyler was sacked, 6 times with 7 hits, and that's not all on the offensive line. But the kid was under pressure a lot, and when it's 3rd and long, we got no shot at picking up a first down. This team has no shot 3rd and long, none.
Because they'll never throw it. Just the length, what it takes. It's always, under the sticks.
Well, he's always on his backfield, and he's just winging it.
Right, or winging it. So,
what
about Paris Johnson Jr.?
Well, had a big penalty in the 3rd quarter. They had good field position, and he got a holding penalty. Turned a 3rd and manageable into a 3rd and long, leading to, there you go, another throwaway and a punt.
And what is it with Cardinals high draft picks getting hurt? It's
listen. And so you got 2 questions there. What's going on with this medical staff, this training staff? And when you also have a strong suspicion that your coaches are coddling your players, I mean, when are they getting them back on the field?
Right.
Are we ever going to see Nolan walks in there, cashes his check, and gets hurt immediately in the first hour in the gym at Cardinal training camp? Most kids, their first training camp, come in the best shape of their lives. Right. This kid, nothing. And they were warned about this kid. And they were warned about Darius.
And it's the same exact injury under your watch with a first-round defensive tackle.
Absolutely right.
Or interior lineman. The same injury under your watch. I mean, look at who was not available last night. I mean, Paris was playing hurt. And now we've got durability questions about him going back to last year. He's been missing some games, couldn't finish out last year with a knee. Now hope this is not a recurring knee, but, to give up all those picks up and down to get him at the expense of passing on Will Anderson Jr. Is still, I don't know any defensive-minded head coach in the world who wouldn't have jumped on Will Anderson Jr. with his first pick if you were a brand new head coach. Instead, it's all skewed towards Kyler. How's that working out? And that's why I believe If you condone that, and you made us suffer for 2 years watching the most anemic edge rushers ever, because of course we had to do everything for Kyler. That's why I believe that's number one on my list why Gannon's got to go. You can't, hinge your whole plan on Kyler Murray and have it affect your drafts the way it's had, and then turn around and be able to, still have your job, because those are the key decisions you make. Plus, how was our tackling last night? If you're a defensive guy and your dudes don't tackle, and I'll tell you this right now, we have one of the worst tackling grades in the NFL. Don't give me the BS about culture.
That's right.
Because if tackling isn't number one on a defensive-minded head coach's agenda and culture setting, then something's the matter. And then, if you can't tackle and you're playing soft coverage, what are you doing? How are you going to win football games consistently? And that's why I say again, playing so conservative while being so inexperienced is not a winning. I don't know how in the world. Occasionally you're going to have a big game and Kyler's going to, play well, and, people get excited. But you're talking about being able to sustain strong habits and good football. And we had a 2-game winning streak, weren't able to sustain that. We had a 4-game winning streak going into the bye last year, and then looked like a totally different team after it. Just awful. That's why where experience matters and sustainability matters when you're building this thing the right way. So, this is where I'm still asking the question, what's Gannon bringing us that's special? And now he's BSing us at press conferences. He seems to relish that part of his job, talking to the press. But, and I think that he's a positive, upbeat energy guy. But in today's NFL, if you don't bring something special to the table as a head coach, as a guy who can make in-game adjustments, and as a guy who can bring attack, if you're a defensive coordinator, turn head coach that can bring a tackling culture and a coverage culture, that's a different thing. And, look at the way the Seahawks covered last night versus the way we covered. Look at the way the Seahawks rushed the passer versus the way we did. And we've spent our offseason adding pass rushers. That's been a disappointment, too. We should have gotten to Darnold as much as they got to Kyler, but we didn't.
Nope.
And, so what's Gannon bringing for that? And, Rouse is bright and young, but he was way underqualified to be a DC. Essentially, he was going on, Gannon's blueprint. But I think he's even discovered along the way that blueprint is flawed. And unless you have, you've got to find a way to adapt and make it airtight instead of so, loose-ended. Like you got to, every time you run an exotic package, you got to sync it. So you're not just you could send everybody on a blitz, but if you cover no one, any quarterback, Sam, could just dump it off to a wide open receiver. And Kyle probably could throw a deep bomb right on the money. So,
I can throw about 35 yards.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. So just offering that thought. Here's the other thing is if the Cardinals make a decision to stay with Kyler Murray another year, what does that look like? Let's end with that question. Kyle, let's have you answer that first. We'll hear from Sam. I'll finish it up and, we'll move off of this segment.
Okay, so it depends, because I would imagine something is going to give, unless they make the playoffs, which absolutely could still happen. I mean, it's only 4 games into the season, 2-2, all that stuff. Easier schedule for the NFC West teams. If you bring back Kyler and Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing, then I think there's kind of like the fire under your butt kind of situation. But if you're bringing back Kyler with a new head coach and potentially a new general manager, well, then obviously it's kind of just a transition phase until they can add the quarterback they want and move on from Kyler. Because like we talked about, unless they're really willing to eat some money, Kyler's going to be on the roster until the end of next year. Now, whether he plays or not is another question.
No, please. Please, no. I can't watch this anymore. It's just so agonizing.
But that's the decision they signed up for. They signed up for 4 years of Kyler Murray. Well, really 5 years of Kyler Murray, and then they can get out of it after the 4th year. But they signed up for 4 years of Kyler Murray and then immediately fired Cliff Kingsbury. And that's the decision they chose. That's why from the very beginning, there was never left to doubt who the quarterback of the Cardinals was going to be. So again, it depends how the rest of this year goes. If it's this group coming back again next year, then I think it's kind of a make or break year for everyone, which would make me think that this season at least turned around in some way. Okay. I don't know how that would happen, but obviously, yeah, if it's a new coach, a new general manager, they're going to come in and pick their quarterback.
Right. Do you see, just to, Sam, do you see Kyler ever getting back to the 2021 form of 270 yards per game?
Not with this coaching staff.
No.
No way. No way.
Okay.
I think we've seen the best of Kyler Murray.
And it was with Cliff.
Yep.
With Cliff, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Pro Bowl year 2, Pro Bowl year 3.
Yep.
Nothing since. And a whole lot of losing to NFC West teams. I mean,
we're 0-2 in the division. We lost an away game. We lost a home game against division opponents.
Right.
And I don't see how this. I said it before the season, so I can repeat it. And I haven't seen anything to change my mind. This team is not a playoff team.
Right.
It's just not.
It's not.
And I don't know if this team's going to have a winning record at the end of the season.
Right.
So you got Kyler Murray going into his last year of his contract.
Technically, he's got 2 more beyond this.
Right. But they can cut him loose next year without a huge cap loss. You're not going to get another coach in here to coach Kyler Murray on his way out of town, because that's what you've got.
Right.
You can have you can bring in a Steve Wilkes, who's your next scapegoat until you lose enough games to get the first pick in the draft. But I don't know who's going to be here at the end of the year if they don't have a winning record. And I'm not sure things end with just getting rid of Gannon and Petzing. I think that your front office, who told us, we don't need to make any improvements. We don't need to sign anybody on our offense. Our offense, we've got continuity, we've got growth, we've got improvement.
Right.
And sure enough, everybody's regressed. So you got that genius who's put that out there. Does Monty Ossenford deserve to keep his job? I don't know.
No, I mean,
we got another failed rebuild on our hands.
Not if you're going to make these kind of decisions. You got to own it. You under your watch, Monty. You hired the least experienced coaching staff probably of all time. This is like epic proportions.
And they just might also be,
yeah, go ahead.
They just also might be the least expensive coaches of all time.
I saw what you did there. I see what you're doing.
I mean, who's paying big bucks for a quarterback? I mean, for a coach, not the Cardinals.
No, and I mean, that's the thing that's mind-boggling to me about Monty is he actually thinks this could work. And he has this inflated view of Gannon for some reason as being like just some master motivator. We're not seeing it. We're not seeing a masterfully motivated football team. And especially at the key position that wins you games more than anything else. And the key things on defense that makes you win games more than anything else. So, that vision of Monty's of like, let me recruit the next Bill Belichick or, D'Amico Ryans or whatever. So far, that's just, and even then, because Gannon's been hands off on defense, it would be, you're really, it's a reverse scenario of Cliff. I mean, the best coach may be Rallis, but he's not the head coach. But still, Rallis he's showing his inexperience, particularly late in games, and sometimes early in the games, like that call with Sweat and coverage, which was just a bailout, an easy bailout for trying to pin a team deep. Coming off a game where you had a safety sack, and this is what you do. It's just, I'm sorry, but it's just not savvy football, and not the kind of football that will consistently win if you make decisions like that. I'm going to float an idea by you guys, and I'm thinking of writing about this. I was thinking about it this week. With the Texans struggling and at 0-3, and Kyler being a legend in Texas. How about a trade of Kyler Murray to the Texans for C.J. Stroud and reunite C.J. Stroud with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Paris Johnson Jr., where he was dynamic at Ohio State. With Marv, they had that connection, and it should be a built-in connection once he arrived. And this could be a real boon for Marvin, or you want to, see him move along. The other thing that would be attractive of that is CJ Stroud's in year 3, and you don't have to make a big time decision on him for the next couple of years. So financially, it could be a boon. And then if he works out, then you work out a nice contract. What do you think, Sam?
Well, that's never going to happen. Houston, the fans in Houston would revolt.
They would?
But so CJ Stroud's obviously struggling, right? Because he's got a head coach who is a defensive coach.
Right.
So you think CJ Stroud is going to come here and flourish under the tutelage of Drew Petzing?
Well, I think he's better suited for this offense.
There's no question. There's no question.
And I think he's a better pocket player.
So is Jacoby Brissett.
Correct.
But I just don't see Drew Petzing improving a quarterback's play at this point.
Right.
It might be unfair, but he does not have the experience, and he hasn't proven that he's fixed this quarterback. Yeah. In fact, this quarterback has regressed.
Well, we may get our chance to see Jacoby in this offense, and I think it'll be a telling scenario, given that he gets maybe a game or two to show us what his version of running on schedule in Petzing offense looks like Colt did for Cliff. Then we might have a different, view of, maybe Petzing's offense is better than we think, and the quarterback is holding it back. Petzing's a hugely bright guy.
He's
over his head. I mean, he's over his
head. That's right. Learning on the job, just like the rest of the staff.
Yeah, you don't put a Drew Petzing with Kyler Murray. You just don't.
You put a Bruce Arians with Kyler Murray.
Oh, that would be great. Now, Bruce would have the gravitas.
Absolutely.
I mean, if Kyler gets with a coach where he fully respects, and is eager and willing to comply with what the coach wants out of him, maybe we see a different player. But someone will have to coach the scaredy cat out of Kyler.
Look what's going on in Chicago with Caleb Williams and the coach brought over from Detroit.
Yeah.
That coach is coaching Williams hard.
Right.
He's making demands.
Right.
He's expecting improvement. And when he doesn't improve or he isn't moving along the way he wants, the fans hear about it, the teammates know about it, and that quarterback knows it. He's not coddling him, and he's improving every week.
Right. Yep. Now, it's interesting that you said that, because also I'm saying to myself, well, let's try to understand why C.J. Stroud is struggling. He's now on his second coordinator. Slowick was his guy coming in. So
we've also had offensive line issues.
Yes, they totally revamped. They got rid of Laramie Tunsil, which I still don't understand.
Their first-round pick ended up not really working out, so their offensive line is a problem.
Right.
And seconding Sam, they would never do that trade to move on from CJ Stroud. They would rather just give Stroud his own extension and give him the time to figure it out. But to your point, it's not smooth sailing in a bunch of places with people who thought they had franchise quarterbacks.
Right.
Well, that's for sure across the league.
Yep.
But look at the two teams we just talked about, Houston and Seattle. Their offense wasn't working. Their quarterback wasn't growing. So what did Seattle do? They got rid of a young neophyte play caller, brought in an experienced guy. Slowick had some success, but it wasn't good enough. Those are teams that do what they need to do to improve.
Right.
They don't just sit back and make excuses for one another.
Right. Yep.
And I like how Gannon supports his staff, and I like how he supports his players. It's over the top, and it's unreasonable, and it's almost laughable. But I like the fact that he's loyal, and I like the fact that he backs his guys up. But he needs to be kicking some tail behind the scenes.
But it also underlines the point that if they succeed, they're going to get poached by other teams. Those coordinators will leave for better coordinator jobs the second that the opportunity presents itself. So while loyalty is nice, you're going to have some sort of assistant coach pool, essentially, that is worth, which we've talked about Clayton Adams, obviously, but if the Buffalo Bills came calling tomorrow for Nick Rallis would be out of Arizona in a heartbeat.
It's not going to happen either. So you two finish up for a second. I'll come back. Give us your parting thoughts. I got to run quickly.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Sure. Yeah. While we've got Walter out for a second, I did want to bring up one other fun thing that happened during the game that I purposely saved until we got to the end, which was the incredible, I've never seen it before, the Jackson Smith and Jigba yelling into the referee microphone and then the referee having to kind of look at him down. I'm going to keep it on mute because he obviously curses, but the referee staring at him as he's going along after he just cursed into his microphone was maybe my favorite thing that's happened season in the NFL. I've just never seen that before, and it was unbelievably funny. The referee pausing the call and staring down Jackson Smith and Jigba after he cursed into the microphone is just unbelievably funny.
Yeah, I think the ref was actually considering maybe throwing a flag there.
Because what do you do if you're the referee? Everyone's just heard the hot mic situation. Everyone knows it just happened. I thought this was so unbelievably funny. And the referee's comedic reaction to pause and his eyes following Jackson Smith and Jigba. Walter, I had saved this till the very end because I thought this was just the funniest thing I've seen on a football field all year, was the ref getting caught on the hot mic.
Right.
And with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then just staring him down as he goes along. Just the funniest thing I've seen all year. I was laughing out loud in my chair and replaying it on the TV. It was so funny.
Yeah, my pal Trish said that's a parental look.
Yes.
That is a parental look. And I think even one of the ESPN dudes, I think Al Michael or somebody said, called the ref dad later.
Patient parent.
Yeah, patient parent. But let me ask you this. If a Cardinal did that, is it 15 yards?
I like to think not. I like to think we can all just enjoy the funny of Jackson Smith and Jigba being caught on the hot mic. I like to think it would have been the same outcome no matter what.
Well, certain teams get away with stuff like that.
Yes.
I don't think, if that was a Cardinal play, if that was Kyler Murray, I think flags had been flying. So, but anyway, this was a great discussion. There's lots more to really unpack as we go along. Very frustrating. It's just philosophically for the big picture, we got things to talk about because certain things we're in year 3 now. Kyler's in year 7. What we saw, Kyler and this offense have been together for 3 years, basically. What we saw in the first half of the game in a NFC West game at home was about as bad as it gets. And after this amount of time, it should never look like that. And it's felt especially humiliating to see on the other end with a brand new quarterback, a brand new coordinator, with a second-year head coach a defensive coach who's really doing a job and calling the plays and getting their defense on fire. The disparity of what we saw from the Seahawks to what we're seeing from the Cardinals was glaring. And this is in a division, by the way, and I was on Dan Vienne's podcast for the Seahawks this week, where I said to him, no offense, Dan, but typically we don't, we worry more about the Rams and the 49ers. But now you guys are kicking our ass. We can't win. I'm like 0-8.
Yep.
How are we going to ever contend in the division as Cardinals if we can't get past you in 2 games every year? I mean, we'd have to sweep the Rams and the 49ers. And we already lost to the 49ers, a hobbled 49ers team. So, and we're 0-2 in the division already. It does not bode well for us in the division moving forward if we can't somehow manage to beat the Seahawks. Now, they're an ascending group, those Seahawks. So, maybe this is their year to get past the Rams and the 49ers. Who knows? They were close to doing it last year. But this is, up until last night, we were the only division where all 4 teams had winning records. It's pretty cool. So there are some encouraging things going on here, too, personnel-wise. I'll talk about that during the week on the blog. I'm really high on some Keaton Crawford for one. Katro Clark, love that kid. There's some things going on that I think that are positive that we've got to keep paying attention to. But there's also big picture items. We want to hear your voice on this. Wherever you stand, let's hear your comments. And until we got a 10-day layoff here, before we play the Titans. And if you think the Titans are going to be an easy game, I don't think there's any easy games left on the Cardinals schedule. So race that from your mind. because when you play like this, every game's hard, no matter who you are. So we got to correct things quickly and in 10 days. We got to get it together, if we get this thing back on top. So, but we'll look forward to that and be writing about that and previewing that. And in the interim, may the red rain, confetti, imaginary red rain that I was thinking last night with 28 seconds left that never happened, rain down on us eventually into the red Sea. Red rain.